The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
How long has it been since we've been in these chairs? 3 weeks? It's not like anything's happened. I mean, what the heck? After spending the last week in two separate PA towers, Matt and I are back in studio. Got producer John on CRN Live on YouTube. Yeah, should be a short show. Nothing happened since we were last on. That's what you think. Wrong, Race Fuel Breath. We have got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. An F1 team undergoing not just one, but two major changes. We've got scheduling news from NASCAR, both when it comes to what tracks they may or may not be going to and when they're going to be going to them, but also as far as one network specifically and how they're covering specific tracks. More news about that lawsuit. Changes coming to one track due to injuries, and drag racing is at the forefront this week. All of that as we get into the first CRN in 3 weeks. We appreciate you joining us. It goes green next.
Stay. tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome in. Wow. Seems odd to say that. It's been a while since we have.
It has.
Yeah, welcome in. How you doing, Matt?
Allergies. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying.
I gotcha.
am over this. Good grief, I'm over this mess.
I got to say, I'm pretty happy now that we're past the worst of the pollen season, but there's always seemingly something that's popping up in there.
Well, it seemingly hasn't decided to leave my little nook of Calhoun County, Alabama, where I live. So, yeah, it'd be great if you just go.
All right. So you're actually looking forward to this rain this weekend.
Yeah, I may go stand outside in it in a pair of swim trunks and a T-shirt.
There you go.
Just for fun.
Might actually work.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we're a little bit early, but as the old saying goes, better early than late, right? So let's go ahead and get into this here, and let's catch you up on everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks. And I'm not going to recap all the races. We'll recap last weekend, but we'll update you on the points on all of the series that we cover, whether or not they ran last weekend or not, okay? Last weekend, NASCAR was in Texas. Truck Series running a Friday night race. It took 2 overtimes to get it resolved. Is this, by the way, the new norm at Texas? We're needing overtimes.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Wait. You'll notice a trend. We had to make a battle with Ben Rhodes on the first lap of overtime, but getting the lead on the turn 3 there of the second overtime, pulling away for the win. Marking his first win at Texas Motor Speedway, but his third win of the season, ladies and gentlemen, Corey Heim. I know we're all shocked by that.
I don't want to get started on this again, because there was one specific driver that got rooked. Clearly rooked. He clearly had the lead when the caution come out, but we're gonna go back and use the last timing loop.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Daniel Hemrick second, Rajah Carew third, Tyler Ankrum fourth, and Tanner Gray rounds out the top 5. Rest of your top 10, Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton, Bailey Curry, Dawson Sutton, Ty Majeski. Again, 3 wins. Corey Heim is your decided leader in the standings. Single wins by Chandler Smith, Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Ankrum. In on points, Ty Majeski, Grant Enfinger, Jake Garcia, Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt, and Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes with a 12-point lead over Stuart Friesen. Surprises there now, because we're kind of getting into the meat of the season here. We're pretty good ways in.
Not really.
No?
Honestly, not really.
Okay. Even like a Jake Garcia doesn't really surprise you all that much?
Not too much.
Okay.
Not really.
All right. After a doubleheader weekend in Monaco, the podium for race 1 was Oliver Rowland, Nick DeVries, and Jake Dennis. Podium 2 for Formula E in Monaco featured winner Sebastian Buemi, then Oliver Rowland and Nick Cassidy. Your updated points: Rowland leads big, 115 to 67 for DaCosta, 66 for Buemi. With the win, rookie Taylor Bernard has 54 and 52 for Nick DeVries. So we only really go top 5 when it comes to Formula E there. Again, trying to detail all that kind of stuff would be pain. Tag Heuer Porsche leads the team points in Formula E with 133, 126 for Nissan, 91 for Mahindra. CS Penske's got 76, 70 for McLaren. Andretti has 68. Jaguar TCS has got 50. Maserati up to 46. Envision's got 39. Lola, Yamaha, and Cooper have 18 each. By the way, manufacturer standings, Nissan with a pretty good lead. 192 points for 163. That's Porsche. Jaguar's third, 115. Then Mahindra, 110. Stellantis, 107. And Lola, with their one team, 20.
Yep.
Well, it is year 1. I mean, we got to get
True.
that.
That is true.
All right. Xfinity Series then took to Texas Motor Speedway last Saturday, and while the 88 of Junior Motorsports is regularly driven by Connor Zilisch, he got hurt at Talladega. We'll get to more of that in a bit. Out of abundance of caution, they pulled him from the car at Texas in favor of Kyle Larson. Not a bad sub.
Nope.
Late race caution caused a strategy call on the part of that 88 team. They decided to bring him down. They put fresh Goodyears on it, and the move paid off. When the race had to go to a second overtime, there's that trend thing again, right? Yep. Larson had all the time that he needed to be able to grab the lead, and claim the win. Second of the season as a Moonlighter, 17th Xfinity Series win of his career to date, and he's got plenty more time to be able to up that number.
Oh, yeah.
Larson trailed by Taylor Gray, then Riley Erbston third, speaking of Moonlighters. Austin Hill, Sam Mayer, Harrison Burton, Jesse Love, Ryan Sieg, Brandon Jones, and Jeb Burton round out your top 10. Austin Hill leads your standings with 3 wins. 2 for Justin Allgaier, 2 for Jesse Love. Also, Brandon Jones, Sammy Smith, and Connor Zilisch with the win each. So there you go. As far as the ones that are in on points, Sam Mayer leads them. teammates, Carson Kvapil, Jeb Burton, Ryan Sieg, Harrison Burton, and Sheldon Creed. Used to be Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed, being Haas factory team teammates, were pretty much joined at the hip. Now, all of a sudden, Sheldon Creed seems to have hit a really, really bad stretch of races for him.
I would pretty much say that's an understatement of him.
Yeah, Creed hanging on to the final playoff position, 11 points over Daniel Dye. And here's the thing. I mean, you and I have been critical of Sheldon Creed in the past.
Yeah.
Because he is a bit of a bull in a china shop, and he does tend to rub people the wrong way. Mm-hmm. But what we do know is this. He is a pretty talented race car driver. You can't have a record of number of second-place finishes without a win, by a long shot, without having some sort of talent here. What the heck is happening?
I honestly think this is one of them good old-fashioned stretches of just being snake bit.
All right. So figure out some track out there that he's good at that'll kind of snap him out of this funk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it'll happen sooner than later.
It could happen. Well, I'm not going to say this weekend, obviously, because Xfinity's off. Could happen at Charlotte.
He's legit at Charlotte.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Could happen at Charlotte. And, let's face it, if there's a strength for the Haas F1 team, it was the same strength we've seen the past couple of years of what was Stewart Haas Racing. The Xfinity Series program is solid. Even if the Cup Series program isn't, the Xfinity Series program is.
It seemed to carry the weight of that building in Kannapolis for, I would say, the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. And the person, and I can say that very, very easily, the person who was holding the flag for the Cup Series side was Kevin Harvick.
Hey, yeah.
There's no doubt about
there was no doubt about that.
All right. In our own backyard last weekend, this is where Matt and I were last weekend. Indycar took to the Alabama roller coaster known as Barber Motorsports Park last Sunday, and I have to admit, I was not expecting this kind of dominating performance, but it was one to write home about for the winner. Alex Palou was your pole sitter. He admitted that whether he was on the primary or the alternate tires, whether it was sunny or cloud covered the track, his car was able to go where he wanted it to go and where he needed it to go all day long.
You think?
In the end, he led 81 of the 90 laps. The only other leaders were Scott McLaughlin, and that was for 3 laps, and Marcus Armstrong for 6. And that was simply due to the fact that this race, for the second year in a row, went caution-free. So it was just green flags, caution, green flag pit stops that were causing a bit of a cycle, and it just took a couple of laps for him to be able to work his way back out front.
Yeah, that is probably one of the more, how do I word this? One of the more, I'm trying to figure out how to word this in the best way possible. That is probably one of the more biggest, what whoopings I've ever seen. Let's word it that way.
Palou's dominating win ended up with a Formula One 16-second lead over second place Christian Lundgaard. Scott McLaughlin was third. Renus VK and Will Power filled out the top 5. Rest of your top 10 Pato Award: Colton Herta, Alexander Rossi, Nolan Siegel, and Joseph Newgarden. Understand this. Yes, it was a butt-kicking and a class session that was put on by Alex Palou. There's no doubt about it. But the racing that was on the track, in and amongst the field, was actually quite good.
It's not bad at all. But we're sitting there looking at time and scoring, and lap after lap after lap, he's gapping. Whether you were able to watch it on Fox Sports or not.
Mm-hmm.
He was gapping second place, which was Scott McLaughlin, majority of the race.
Yeah.
He was gapping McLaughlin by 3 to 4 tenths a lap.
Yeah. And it didn't matter what tires he was on.
The black primaries, he was averaging gapping 3.5 to 5 tenths a lap.
Mm-hmm.
The reds, he was gapping as high as 7 to 8 tenths at one stretch. Let me repeat myself. 7 to 8 tenths a lap which is ridiculous.
Yeah. That car was just amazing. That's the kind of car every driver dreams about.
And then some.
Yeah, if you're a race car driver, that's the kind of car you wanted.
I'll put it in the most cleanest way I can put this. That is if you're a single man, you're courting a lady and you've got a knockdown, drag out, supermodel looking blonde on your arm walking to a table to go sit at a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can compare it.
Everybody's staring at you.
Everybody's staring at you going, what in the world? That's the best way.
Yep. All 27 cars were running at the end of the race. 16 of the 27 finished on the lead lap. Palou has a dominating lead in points as well. He's now up to a 196 to 136 lead in the points over Christian Lundgaard. Kyle Kirkwood's got 127. Pato O'Ward 108. Scott McLaughlin and Felix Rosenquist tied at 105. Scott Dixon, Colton Herta, the only others that have 100 points so far. Robert Schwartzman takes over the rookie points lead. He's got 35 to Lewis Foster's 30. Jacob Abel's got 22. Then you got Honda continuing to extend their lead in the manufacturer standings. It's now up to a 336 to 284 lead over Chevrolet. Formula One was down in Miami for the weekend. McLaren continued their dream start to the season. Max Verstappen, your pole sitter, but both rookie Kimi Antonelli and Oscar Piastri were pestering him. The usually calm, cool, and collected Verstappen made a mistake. That let Antonelli and Piastri get by. Then Piastri got by the rookie, and, well, he led the rest of the way. His partner, Lando Norris, was doing his best. He got around all drivers, save for his teammate, but the closest he could get to his teammate, 5 seconds, so he ended up in second place. George Russell worked his way up to third, then Max Verstappen. For a guy who starts on the pole, we generally pencil in Max Verstappen as the winner if he gets the pole.
Typically.
He falls to fourth. That's strange.
Yeah.
Something's up over there at Red Bull. Something's got to be up. Alex Albon in the Williams finishes fifth.
Called Helmut Marko.
There it is. 6 through 10, Kimi Antonelli, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Yuki Tsunoda. Oscar Piastri is your points leader. He's got 131. Lando Norris, his teammate at McLaren's got 115. 99 for Verstappen. He's in third. George Russell, 93. 53 for Charles Leclerc. Kimi Antonelli, 48. 41 for Lewis Hamilton. Alex Albon with the top 5 finish. He's up to 30. Got 14 for Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. They are tied at that number as they fill out the top 10. Constructors' Cup standings in F1. McLaren has an early but commanding lead.
I think that's an understatement.
Yeah, 246 to 141 over Mercedes. Red Bull's in third with 105 because, well, they can't figure out who the second driver is ever going to be, apparently. Ferrari's got 94. Williams has got 37. Haas F1 with 20. Aston Martin's got 14. Racing Bulls is up to 8. Alpine has 7 and 6 for the fine folks at Sauber. Let's see. Where else are we going to go here? How about Cup Series race? And that's the final race of last weekend. Takes us back to Texas. As the laps wound down, was looking like a 2-tire gamble on the Spire crew of Michael McDowell. Might have just paid off with the win, but the tires didn't hold out. When the Penske cars of Joey Logano and then Ryan Blaney got by, as Blaney passed, McDowell appeared to lose control in dirty air off the 12, ending his day, because in looking at the replays of this, there was no contact.
Yeah, it was just an air move. It was air.
And those tires gave. And he smacked the wall, ended his day, led to, by the way, the third overtime finish of the weekend for NASCAR at Texas. Logano gets a great restart, pulls away for the win. Kind of a big reversal from the Talladega race where he got DQ'd the prior weekend because of a bolt that was missing on a nut on the rear spoiler. Ross Chastain claims second over Ryan Blaney. Kyle Larson was then fourth. Eric Jones rounded out the top 5. This is like a Talladega-style finish when you think about some of the names that we're talking about here. Eric Jones, 5th. Ricky Stenhouse, 6th. Austin Dillon, 7th. John Hunter Nemechek, 8th. And then you got Christopher Bell and Daniel Suarez filling out the top 10.
I'm going to say this, and if people want to disagree with me, go argue with the wall. I don't care. Legacy Motor Club is quietly picking the pace up.
Bit by bit, yeah. I mean,
they were solid at Talladega.
They're not making leaps and bounds, but at the same point in time, if you can steadily move up, that means that you can probably keep that momentum.
You can.
And that's a big thing.
Huge.
Updated standings. Christopher Bell's got 3 wins. You got Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin with 2. Single-time winners are William Byron, Joey Logano now, Austin Cindric, and Josh Berry. In on the points right now is Chase Elliott, who just, if you want to use the golf term, keeps laying up safely and just parring every hole. He's not going for it necessarily, but he's solid and steady all the time.
Yeah, he is.
Tyler Reddick is in there as well, and that's not bad for a guy who has been literally all over the map. He's either running up front or he's running way in the back.
True. That is true.
Ryan Blaney's up there. I think it's just a matter of if, not I think it's a matter of when, not if, he'll get a win. Then you got Bubba Wallace, Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain is in there. He's going to have to find something because he's radically inconsistent right now. Let's see. Chris Buescher, Chase Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fill out the top 16. Stenhouse has a 12-point lead over Kyle Busch for the final playoff spot. I've asked it of the other 2. Any surprises here as far as somebody who's inside the 16 or outside of the top 16 that you would have expected in?
Right now, not really.
No? Okay.
Not really.
And while the NHRA did not run last weekend, let's go ahead and update you on the points just because they did run over the last couple of weeks, so things do change. Sean Langdon's your top fuel leader. He's got a 60-point lead over Tony Stewart because, again, Tony Stewart won in Las Vegas, so that was a big points day for him. Let's see. Antron Brown's third, 63 back. 122 is the gap between the leader and Doug Coletta, and Brittany Force's fifth. She sits 151 back. Austin Prock leads Funny Car by 59 over Paul Lee. Matt Hagan's 70 down. Jack Beckman's 80 back, and in fifth is Ron Capps. He's 121 out of first. If there's any surprise there, it's that Ron Capps is fifth.
I would agree with that one.
Dennis. Dallas Glenn is 11 up on Greg Anderson. Matt Hartford's 198 back. Wow, the gap between second and third is huge. Corey Reed, 245 back. Eric Latino, 311 down in fifth. And in Pro Stock Motorcycle, this is a surprise as we have a new Pro Stock Motorcycle points leader. It's Matt Smith. He leads Gage Herrera by 15, so it's not like a blowout. Richard Gadsden is now third. He's 64 down. Chase Van Zandt, 96 back. Angie Smith is fifth in the standings in the closest of the 4 main divisions, 110 points down. All right. That brings us to this weekend here, and then we'll take our first break. This weekend, little less busy. Today, NTT IndyCar Series heads home to Indianapolis. They're running the Sancio Grand Prix on the Indy Road Course. This is the 14-turn, 2.439 mile long course inside the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The race is going to get rolling 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Central Time this afternoon on Fox and IRN Radio. They qualified yesterday. Alex Pelosi, your pole sitter, got Graham Rahal starting on the front row for the race. And man, did Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan show up in qualifying. All 3 of their cars are inside the top 5 to start.
They woke up.
Yes. David Letterman's a happy guy. Somewhere he's having a cigar. Then the Craftsman Truck Series runs tonight at Kansas Speedway, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central Time start for the Heart of America 200. That's going to be on Fox Sports 1 and the NASCAR Racing Network.
I want to make a plea about something. The ARCA race last night.
Yeah.
ARCA, for the love of humanity, get this field discrepancy under control.
Meaning?
Because when you start, I think it was 26 that started last night.
Okay.
When by lap 10, let me repeat myself. When lap 10, the leader has lapped up to 15th already, you have a problem.
Yeah. I'd say that's not an understatement.
I think it's time that there is some type of a cap put on ARCA. Because there is no excuse. Yes, I know some teams are considerably lower budget than the others. That's what this is supposed to be. Lower budget people getting their feet into stock car racing on a national level.
Yeah, and that's what ARCA's always kind of been.
But when you've got these guys that are basically running against full-blown cup cars,
sure,
they don't stand a chance.
Yeah. You want to talk about I mean, we can sit here and talk about the difference in the quality of the equipment all day long at whatever level of racing you want to talk about, but it is glaring in the ARCA Menard series.
There is a chassis that ran last night that I know for a fact is a 2002 Bill Davis Racing car.
Yeah. That's not going to be competitive, boys and girls.
Huh?
Nope. Wow. Final race of the weekend will be on Sunday, and it belongs to the Cup Series, and Sunday only the Cup Series. Despite that, Fox has shunted the Cup Series race to Fox Sports 1. I can't tell you why. It's the Advent Health 400 Kansas Speedway, also on MRN Radio, starts 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. Again, for those of you that are relatively new and think radio and TV don't start at the same time, you're right, they don't. Pre-race. Race coverage is what we're talking about when we come to our times that we give. Tuesday through Friday, by the way, Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2 will be airing practice sessions for the Indy 500. Fox Sports 2 will start off at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time, and then it'll move to Fox Sports 1 for the 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time each day, Tuesday through Friday, and then we'll get into the full details of qualifying and the schedule for the whole week coming up for the Indy 500 next weekend on the show, because yeah, we're actually going to be here 2 weekends in a row. Who knew? All right, when we come back, despite the fact that Matt is gearing up to just absolutely tee off, I'm going to make him wait because of the news over the last couple of weeks, and there's a lot of big stories. I think the biggest one does come out of drag racing, and it's not necessarily the best news in the world, specifically for one of the two now drag racing series we cover. We'll detail it next.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. only. And back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Yeah, we got ourselves an early start this morning, so we're a little ahead of the game, but that's actually good because, number one, we got a lot of news, and number two, there's a lot of commentary. Appreciate everybody who is checking us out, whether you're on the flagship station, 95.1 The Mountain in East Central Alabama, and thanks to those who are on CRN Live on YouTube as well. If you have not checked it out, we invite you to, because you'll get some pictures to go along with the words and the stories that we got to tell. And we would ask that you subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And you can take part in the chat. We appreciate everybody that's there. Found out about our good friend Chi-Town Mark, who's gone back into the hospital. So our thoughts and our prayers are with him in a fast recovery.
Absolutely.
All right. We talked about this during Crossed Flags, which is available now, by the way, on CRN Live on YouTube. But I'm going to mention it again because, again, this is the big news. And it's Alan Reinhart. You might remember that Alan Reinhart left the NHRA to become a bigwig in the IHRA early this year, and that's what prompted us to start following the IHRA, which really had been persona non grata before that when it came to racing series. Mm-hmm. He's already left. He left that job. He posted.
Lord have mercy.
Why? We don't know. He posted on social media a week ago today as we air live. As most have heard by now, I parted ways with the IHRA last week. No bad blood on my part. Sometimes things just don't work out as you hope that they would. What's next? Stay tuned. Now, a lot of people obviously are calling for the NHRA to bring him back. Whether or not they will or not, I don't know.
They need to.
Personality issue? I mean, or something that he just doesn't agree with when it comes to how this thing is going?
Yeah, I don't think it's a personality problem.
Okay. I mean, you would pretty much figure that right off the bat as you started to meet with Daryl Cuttle.
Yeah.
So you'd figure out whether or not you could get along with him right off the bat. So there's something else underlying. Maybe one of these days we'll get the full story. I don't know.
Maybe so.
And the only thing that I can think of might be kind of related to what we're about to talk about when it comes to the IHRA. Despite his leaving, the league or the series continues to work towards their biggest season in a very long time. They've announced their finalization of the purchase of Ohio's Killcare Raceway. This is a multi-purpose facility featuring the drag strip and an oval track. Killcare sits just outside of Dayton, Ohio. It opened up in 1951, first with the oval. It began as a dirt track, but a dust storm created by the first year caused a whole lot of complaints, so they paved it for 1952. It remains paved to this day. The drag strip, a quarter mile in length, was added in 1959. They have seen winners in USAC and stock cars by the names of, people like A.J. Foyt and Darrell Waltrip. Well, the drag strip has had a who's who of winners in its history as well. Big Daddy Don Garlitz, Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney, Tommy Ivo, Bob Glidden. IHRA officials have not detailed plans for the facility, but they promise news is to come. And this is the only thing that I can think of that might have caused Alan Reinhart to have a problem. And again, I'm not sure of this. This is pure speculation on my part, not even Matt's. I'm not speaking for Matt. I'm speaking for myself. Okay, I'm not speaking for producer John either. My concern is that the IHRA is diving in with both feet into the deep end, and they have gone out and they've purchased a whole lot of tracks. In other words, they have laid out a whole lot of money for a whole lot of facilities. And could it be that Alan Reinhart went, you guys are getting in over your head, I'm getting out?
That possibility does exist.
I don't know whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
I hope that it's not. We'll see.
Maybe
because if they are going to run into financial problems, that ugly head is going to rise up above the water real fast.
In a hurry.
Speaking of which, the IHRA has also announced they've got a 5-round Outlaw Nitro series coming up this year, featuring their divisions, Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Modified. Each of those will get a $50,000 to win situation over the 5 races. 5 races will kick off the weekend of July 9th through the 12th at National Trail in Columbus, Ohio. Go up to Michigan's Milan Dragway the last weekend of July. September, we'll see them back at National Trail before they head to Dragway 42 in West Salem, Ohio. And then the finals will be in November in North Carolina's Gallo Motorsports Park, the one that we talked about, one of the ones that they just closed the deal on as far as becoming an IHRA-owned track as well. $50,000 to win, not bad. And that's a bonus on top of what you would get otherwise, because this is a challenge series. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. And the only bit of NHRA news which is kind of strange over the last couple of weeks because you would have expected a couple of other things to go, but they've been pretty quiet over there. But the only bit really is the fact that they were included in this. The leadership, President Glenn Cromwell, the VP of Sales and Chief Development Officer Brad Gerber were in attendance for this year's World Congress of Sports, something you may not have even known even comes around. It was held in Nashville this year. Now, despite the world in the name, it's actually for leaders of leagues in series in North America, Canada, the United States, and Mexico. But it's still an important step for drag racing as a whole and for the NHRA to be included in this. It is first and foremost a networking convention. It allows all the big wigs to be able to kind of, rub elbows and chat and, kind of get to know each other. This time around featured sessions by NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, Disney CEO Bob Iger. Don't discount that because, think about it, Disney owns both ABC and ESPN. Not exactly small potatoes there.
Nope.
Talks range from investing in sports media to building your brand, innovation, technology, and, of course, fan involvement. To be included with the likes of the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball kind of continues the resurgence, to me, of the NHRA specifically, and the fact that drag racing as a whole kind of works its way back to the forefront as well it should,
Yep. No, I don't disagree. It rightfully should.
I don't think the NHRA should take a back seat, or truth be told, the IHRA as well. I don't think drag racing should take a back seat to any other motorsports just because NASCAR's the big wig in the United States of America and Formula One is making inroads, and Indycar has this great deal with Fox this year. NHRA shouldn't be taking a back seat to them.
No, I agree. They shouldn't. I mean, fight for what you think is yours.
Yeah. I tried to get a good picture of this, but I couldn't find one. So I apologize to that right off the bat. But NASCAR officials have announced that they're going to make changes to our very own Talladega Superspeedway, specifically on the backstretch. This comes in the wake of crashes by both Connor Zilisch and Christopher Bell at Talladega, which kept Zilisch out of the Texas Xfinity Series race, which we detailed during the recap. The area is indeed covered by the safer barrier. That's a good thing. But where Christopher Bell hit, there's also this little jut out that comes out at a 5 to 10 degree angle on the wall, right at the very end of the backstretch, close to turn number 3. And NASCAR said that they're going to take that section out, rebuild it as a straight wall all the way down the backstretch. No jut out, no nothing. The area that jutted out was intended to allow a little bit easier ingress and egress for the safety crew that's parked right there, so that they can get to those quickly that are involved in accidents. The jut out's, again, roughly 5 to 10 degrees, but according to NASCAR Managing Director of Racing Communications, Matt Forty, I don't know why he's saying this. Why isn't it the guy who's in charge of the facilities? But that's another point entirely. Forty said, quote, making it more of a straight edge should help as far as the significance of these wrecks. You think so?
No. Because you're running anywhere from 185 to 195 at that point. Do we seriously think that the car is going to slow down that much before it gets to that point if we're going for the inside wall? No.
I mean, they've already got it all paved. It's not like they got grass over in that area. All of that area is paved. So you're scrubbing off speed as much as you possibly can.
That car is going to hit the wall how it's going to hit the wall, no matter if there's grass, asphalt, or if the wall's at a 50-degree angle or a 0-degree plane.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That aspect where that wall is, where Christopher Bell hit, coming right off of 2, and they weren't even at full speed, is right there where the safety vehicles come out, and they've got a straight shot to get out quicker, angle out to wherever the car stopped on the apron or on the track, wherever it may be.
Right.
They got an easier way out. That's this. I'm not discrediting making an aspect of a racetrack better from a safety standpoint, but it's Talladega. You associate Talladega automatically with high speed.
Sure.
I don't think anything you do other than altering the catch fence for airborne getting cars, which that is almost non-existent anymore.
I don't know what can be done on the inside. I really don't. I have no idea what can be done on the inside.
There's safer barriers all the way around.
Yeah, on the inside and the outside.
Yeah. So what difference does it make if the wall is, because I read it, that scene was a 5-degree angle, 5 or 10 degrees, where the safety vehicles have a quicker access way out. What difference is 5 or 10 degrees going to make when it's like this?
It may not even be that significant, truth be told. It's not that bad.
And really, in a way, that's going to get things slowed down quicker, because that car could be gaining speed and hit the wall at a higher speed if the wall is straight versus if the wall's kicked out. It's going to stop it quicker. Think about it.
And I'm going to ask this, and I'm only going to state this because I'll be real honest with you. I don't know as there's a whole lot to this, but I'm just going to throw it out there for the funsies of it.
Right.
This 5-degree angle, let's assume that Christopher Bell hits it, or Connor Zilic for that matter, hits it at an angle to where it actually bounces him back out towards the track. Is that a safety issue? I mean, could he actually get back out to where everybody's racing?
No.
And I don't. Yeah, I was kind of thinking not, but I went ahead and asked the question just for the giggles of the whole thing and try and cover all the bases.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Because of how far it is, he would have to be running.
It'd have to be a much sharper angle to get him back out there, I would think.
Much sharper angle, 1, and 2, a considerably higher speed.
Yeah.
To
It'd have
be
to be
able
more like 30 to 45 degrees.
to throw the car back out that far, because that is a pretty good distance between the edge of the racing surface and that wall.
Okay. Yeah, it'd have to be like 35 to 40. And at that point in time, I certainly understand that they would want to lessen the severity of it because of how, much that could really be a problem with that kind of thing.
No, sure.
But 5 degrees, I'm not so certain that's that big of a deal. Jeffrey Earnhardt running a part-time schedule for Sam Hunt Racing, the one-time other SHR. The team is going to give him a couple of more starts than initially scheduled. He's set to return to the number 24 Toyota Supra at Nashville Superspeedway at the end of this month. And then the next time we'll be back at Bristol during the September 12th night race weekend. Like Talladega, his sponsor will be Forever Lawn. Nice to see him getting a couple of more starts. It is kind of surprising to me because Jeffrey Earnhardt has proven to be actually a pretty capable driver. He's not spectacular by any stretch, but I've seen drivers with a lot less talent get more solid rides than Jeffrey Earnhardt.
I would agree with that. He's a very respectable super speedway racer. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
Very respectable.
All right.
Now, this right here.
Yes.
I'm gonna set him up on. I'm gonna set myself up on this. All right. Picture me right here as Duke Stroud and Top Gun as Air Boss Johnson. I've got right now, because I'm about to absolutely go full blown atomic. I've got Boxcar, the Enola Gay, a B-52, a B-1 Lancer, a B-2 Spirit, a B-21 Stealth Bomber, and 3 F-16s lined up on Alert 5 ready to launch.
And here's why. Adam Stern of Sports Business Daily, a guy who we do trust. We've had the chance to really go over his stuff, and he's a guy who knows what he's talking about.
This is pathetic.
He's reporting that the CW, which is, of course, the sole television provider for the Xfinity series, is spending this month by doing all their races remotely from the NASCAR studios in Concord, North Carolina. Quoting NASCAR Productions official Mike Zilak, he said this, quote, "Now it just depends on what the CW wants to do. In May, they will be remote. But in June, they'll be back on the road," meaning they'll be doing the coverage from the track. So think about this for a moment.
What race is at the end of May, people?
We're about to go to Charlotte Motor Speedway, which technically is in Concord, North Carolina.
Concord.
Which is based upon where the NASCAR production studios are, for all intents and purposes, we'll call it across the street.
I'm gonna.
So again, for the race at Charlotte, they will not be at the track. For the race in Nashville the next weekend, they will not go from Charlotte to Nashville. But after that, they'll be more than happy to go traveling all across the country. What's wrong with this picture, Matt?
Ladies and gentlemen, hang on a minute. Hang on. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the Championship Racing Network congregation, jury, whatever you want to classify yourself as, I'm going to go as far as to say this, because we know one of the lead producers for CW Xfinity NASCAR by name personally.
Yep. Worked with him many, many years at Talladega.
Eric.
Yes.
Come on, man. You are going to do a remote broadcast based off of this report and this wording. You are doing a remote broadcast from a studio that is 4.5 miles away from the track.
Can't do it with the equipment we got.
You have got to be kidding me. I could see doing a full-blown remote broadcast from Sonoma, Phoenix, Las Vegas. Heck, I'll even say Kansas. Because he was remote from Texas.
So pretty much you would say anywhere west of the Mississippi.
Let's say that, yeah, because that's basically every track west of the Mississippi.
Yeah. Coda, Texas. We'll throw those in there, too.
You went to Talladega.
Sure.
But you didn't go to Rockingham or Darlington. But you went to Talladega.
Which are much closer. In fact, the trip from Concord to Talladega was more miles than the trips to Rockingham and Darlington combined.
The distance from Talladega Superspeedway to said studio is 358 miles, 5 hours and 29 minutes, or roughly 1 hour via air. Oh, we get there in an hour via air. But you can't go 4 miles down the road? This is the exact reason why right now the overall scope of television production of these races has hit the basement floor.
Agreed.
This is absolutely pathetic. You are at home. There is no excuse for you to not do a live on-site broadcast. None. Zero.
Yeah, I agree with you on this. If you want to save the money, by all means, save the money, but do it on the specific tracks where the travel length is a significant amount of time to try and get the trucks there. You mentioned Sonoma. Portland, I don't know whether they go back to Portland this year, but
they do.
Gone. Okay. Portland, Sonoma, Phoenix,
Vegas.
Again, anything west of the Mississippi, I can understand that.
Texas, Kansas, Iowa.
Those are understandable. Because, again, you got this beautiful facility, and I'm not taking anything away from NASCAR Productions facility in Concord. It's a beautiful facility. I've seen pictures. I haven't been inside of it, but I've seen the pictures of it.
Hey, Eric, we want to come up there.
It's a beautiful facility. But why are we selecting a race that is less than 5 miles away? Why are we selecting a race that's less than 5 miles away as a remote broadcast?
You literally, and for anybody that is listening or watching that has never been to Charlotte Motor Speedway and know where the proximity of this productions facility is, you're going up I-85. Exit 49 is Bruton Smith Parkway. Mm-hmm. You go to the right to go to Charlotte Motor Speedway and Z-Max Dragway. You go to the left to go into downtown Concord. You take the second red light to the right.
And that's where it is.
You turn, go about maybe a mile to 2 miles, at worst, it's on the left.
Yeah.
Because on the right is the entryway you turn in to go to Concord Regional Airport, which there sits the location of RFK and Trackhouse.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't all that far away from it back in February, but I have to admit, I didn't think to look up where the building exactly was. But I was in that general area back in February when I went to the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame ceremonies. And again, this is all within very, very close proximity of each other. It's very easy to get to.
It's stupid close.
Yeah, and it's not like you're driving down some backwoods 2-lane road. Bruton Smith Parkway, as you mentioned, if you go to the right to go to the track, you're going through Hendrick Carsville, because you got a whole bunch of car dealerships down there, and they're all owned by Hendrick.
Yeah, Hendrickville.
And then once you get past that, you go over a hill, and you got not only Charlotte Motor Speedway, but you got ZMAX Dragway.
ZMAX is on your left, Charlotte straight ahead, and all your camping and parking starts on the right.
Got the Charlotte Dirt Track.
On the left.
You've got the new little road course / private drivers club that they're building over there just across the road.
That's across Highway 29 behind turn 1 and 2 at Charlotte on Hendrick property.
All of this stuff is within 2 miles of getting off I-85.
Yeah.
To your right. Yep. To the left, you got this massive shopping area, which includes a Bass Pro Shops in there.
Concord Mills.
Yeah, Concord Mills, which has that the physical store for Lionel.
Lionel, Bass Pro Shops. There's a Best Buy, a Target, Twin Peaks is over there.
Wonder how we know that.
Yeah.
Had to lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, basically everything that you could possibly want is all within a 5-mile radius of this area.
You go out there and you turn to the right, you got Trackhouse.
It's amazing.
You got RFK. You got K1 Speed. You got, the NASCAR production, this massive productions facility, and the R&D center all out there within a few miles of each other.
Yeah. I don't know why we can't make it 4.5 miles with the equipment that we've got, but somehow we can get to Talladega.
Eric, come on, man. Come on.
Makes no sense. Makes 0 sense. That's why that was Xfinity Series was listed as number 2. That story right there. All right, when we come back, we're going to turn our attention to the Cup Series. Yesterday was court day. 2311 in front row on one side, NASCAR on the other. This is a hearing by a judge panel. Didn't necessarily go the team's way. We'll tell you about it next.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
All right, looks like we're back on our regular time here. So nicely done there with your rant. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Yesterday, as we go to air live here on this Saturday, for those of you that are checking us out some other time, we air live on Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Well, on Friday, 2311 and Front Row Motorsports and their lawyer met up with NASCAR and their legal representation in North Carolina. The NFL? The NFL wants the UFL. They want them to stay right where they are in the spring as a development league. That's what the G League is for the NBA. It's what all the minor league levels are: AAA, AA, single A, and high A, rookie, and all that kind of stuff. All of that stuff is the same thing.
That's a good way to put the UFL, the NFL G League.
Yeah. All of these massive sports that are out, all these massive sports leagues that are out there, they have no competitor. 2311 is not just going to turn tail and go, you know what? Yeah, we can leave NASCAR. Let's go running IndyCar. That's a massive change in the infrastructure of 2311 racing.
That's an understatement.
So it'll be interesting to see how this finally turns out. I don't know what's going to happen. All right, where else are we going to go here? How about this? As we told you in the recap, Kyle Larson filled in for Connor Zilic last weekend at Texas Motor Speedway in the Xfinity Series race. This was due to lower back issues that the 18-year-old suffered in that last lap crash at Talladega that we were referring to earlier. Trackhouse Racing has said that Zilic would be returning as soon as he felt better, but they didn't provide any additional details. All of this kind of in that statement that producer John should be showing you right now on CRN Live on YouTube.
That's going to be the 600 because he's running a doubleheader.
The series is off this weekend. Again, Zilic, as Matt just noted, slated to run both the Xfinity and the Cup Series races at Charlotte. Those plans may change depending on how he feels, but I get the funny feeling with the time off from last weekend and the fact that the Xfinity Series is not running this weekend, I think he's got plenty of time to be able to kind of recover from this.
Yeah, he's good.
I mean, he's 18 years old. Come on.
Good. He's good.
Richard Childress Racing has announced that there are going to be a couple of more races for Jesse Love as they start to groom the future of Richard Childress Racing, okay? Jesse Love started the Bristol race in the 33 car. He was in the car at Texas last weekend as well, but he was running for Beard Motorsports in their number 62. But RCR apparently wants to see more of him in Cup competition. So as such, they have announced that he'll be back in the number 33 for this weekend's race at Kansas. And then they're going to put him back in the car at Richmond on August the 16th. And it is in the C4 Ultimate Energy drink that you see on CRN Live on YouTube, as well as a sponsor. And you and I have talked about this. We don't necessarily think that RCR is going to go to a third car because that means they've got to go find a charter, and charters are coming much harder to come by nowadays.
That they are.
So that means somebody has got to go. And if they're grooming both Jesse Love and Austin Hill, two drivers, Austin Hill specifically, where a lot of people think he's already ready to go Cup Series racing, he's just staying loyal to Richard and RCR.
Mm-hmm.
You only got two cars. Austin Dillon, yeah, you and I certainly are no big fans of Austin Dillon. We think he pulls out quickly. But then there's that other guy. You know, that two-time champion by the name of Kyle Busch? Does he pull out easily?
I honestly think Kyle's on his way out. Because he's...
Of RCR or Cup as a whole?
RCR.
Okay.
Because I don't think
he's all that happy.
I think he's over the lackluster cars. Because he is, everybody knows it. He's got way too much talent to be driving in lackluster equipment.
Sure. Where does he go, though? I mean, how many premier seats are open? And that's the big question. It's okay. It goes back to this whole Chase Elliott thing. Chase Elliott is the leader on points. No, he doesn't have a win. But Chase Elliott is your leader on points. Everyone's saying, why doesn't he have a win? Why doesn't he have a win? Why doesn't he have a win? My God, change something. Change the crew chief. Who are you going to get?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a man by the name of Rodney Childers out there now.
Yeah. But here's the question. What we do know is this. Chase and his current crew chief get along. They have a good relationship. If we put Rodney Childers in there, we can't guarantee that the chemistry between them is anywhere near as good or better.
True. I don't disagree with that.
So the question becomes, again, what's out there that's better than what you got? And that's the question that Kyle Busch has to be asking himself every morning as he gets up and looks at himself in the mirror and goes, if I leave Richard Childress Racing, what's out there that's better than what I got that I can legitimately get into?
Or what could about to open up?
Keep watching this, boys and girls. It's going to be an interesting situation.
All I'm saying.
Oh, God. Here we go. YouTube sensation Cletus McFarland.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to launch the nuclear bombers on this one.
We saw him at the ARCA Menard Series race at Talladega, and he had a respectable finish.
I'm gonna use the elementary school version of this saying here, and we know what this saying is by how I'm going to word it.
Mm-hmm.
He made lemonades out of lemons that race.
There you go.
I tip my cap to him. He made lemonade out of lemons that race right there. Because with that race, I was standing beside the car watching the Ilmore guys rip the valve covers off the top end of this motor, figuring out what was going on. And when I seen it, when they saw it, it's a miracle he finished the race.
And turned around and got, what, a top 10?
Top 10.
Not bad. Could he be racing in the Cup Series soon?
Holy Jesus.
Seems he's got his eye on exactly that. His actual name, Garrett Mitchell. He got seat time at Talladega ARCA Menard Series race. Again, had a sour engine, but despite that, got a top 10 result. Afterward, during interviews, he talked about racing more in the ARCA Menard Series, but he admitted that things might get bigger. He talked to Fox Sports' Kevin Harvick on his Happy Time podcast and said, quote, I've never been a big NASCAR guy until this year, and then Greg Biffle helped me get my foot into the door. But in just this one season, you, Kevin Harvick, and I both have watched several people shove their way into Cup and look like fools. Originally, when I called Biff, I was like, I want a race cup, but I think our original goal was, say, the Daytona 500 in 2027. And I'm not saying that's off the board, but now that I know just a smidge about NASCAR, I think that might be a bit too early. Those guys are on a whole other level. So at least he understands that the competition gets tougher the higher up you go.
His head is in the correct position. Very correct position.
Everybody wants to get to the top level of whatever sport series that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get your head above water, man. Don't get your head above water. What's the old country saying? Don't get above your raisin. I think that was what it was.
Something like that.
Something like that.
But if is making these making these murmurs about him going up to running a cup race,
try a Truck Series race first.
Get out of your mom's basement. Get out of grandma's basement. Oh, Cletus McFarland's going to run a cup race. Enter, submit. Okay. By technicality, Juan Montoya did it. Check. He completed every lap cleanly and finished top 10, just like Garrett Mitchell. I'm going to say Garrett Mitchell.
Yeah.
Just like Garrett did.
Because that technically was the name, by the way, that was over the door on the car. It wasn't Cletus McFarland. It was Garrett Mitchell.
No, Cletus McFarland was over the door of the car.
Oh, I thought I saw Garrett Mitchell.
No,
okay.
It was. It was the one.
It's what popped up on the scoring monitor. I'll say
because
that.
they deliberately changed it on the score monitor. Oh, Cletus is in debt.
Yeah.
But Garrett Mitchell. Something is telling me I've got this funny feeling. Because now with this relationship that him and Dale Earnhardt Jr. have now budded,
yeah,
with the combination of Greg Biffle, and Greg Biffle now has no manufacturer ties.
No, he doesn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, Junior does have a fifth car. And I'm pretty sure that cup car is still sitting in that building. And I'm pretty sure there's a race right down the road, October 18th and 19th.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure him finishing that ARCA race, he passed technical clearances to be able to run a super speedway.
Let's see it.
Does the letters OEP mean anything?
Yep. Meant something at the Daytona 500 this year, that's for sure.
And we are well above that 3-month cutoff.
Oh, sure. Yep. They say they want 90 days. Now's the time.
October, September, August, July. It's just May.
He's got 6 weeks. Easy.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Give or take.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep
He's
an eye
got
on
a
it.
fairly sizable sponsor, too.
Sure. Yeah. We'll see. I don't think that there's a big rift here, but it is interesting to note this. Baseball Hall of Famer Chipper Jones kind of injected himself into something that he might not necessarily know everything about.
This has got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
I agree. The former Atlanta Brave, noted 3-time champion, Cup champion Joey Logano's rant recently about his Penske teammate Austin Cindric on the team radio at the end of the second stage at Talladega. Now, we can't quote exactly what Logano said. The gist of it is that he was just very upset when Cindric didn't jump up on his own back bumper, felt that it kept him from winning the second stage. He blasted Cindric by sarcastically congratulating Cindric for giving Bubba Wallace and Toyota the stage 2 win. After the race, Cindric said that he understood Logano's frustration. Team Penske said that they were going to do little to change the passion of their drivers. Didn't matter which one of the three it was, or technically 4 if you want to include Wood Brothers. But Jones couldn't resist inserting himself into the situation. He posts on social media this, quote, "Good teammates are hard to come by, boss. Remember that one of yours, you, on national TV, when in all actuality, you did everything possible to keep from wrecking him. Hate to be hashtag deuces in the team meeting on Monday," talking about hating to be Cindric on Monday. "Some people are hooray for our team as long as I'm the star, as every team has them, Hendrick, RCR, JGR, Penske, etc. Sometimes karma is glorious." And then he tagged Logano specifically to ensure who it was that he meant. Well, Logano, of course, has a weekly appearance on Monday mornings on Sirius XM Satellite Radio's NASCAR channel. When he was told about Jones's post, he said he wasn't initially aware of it. When the hosts read it, as much as they could, Logano replied, quote, "Has Chipper Jones ever driven a race car at Talladega?" That'd be my first question. Pretty certain he hasn't. Then Logano continued on, and I got to say, I got to give Joey Logano credit. I know producer John's not a big fan, but I think Joey Logano nails it here. Logano continued, said this, quote, "That's like me saying something about baseball. I don't know nothing about baseball. It's like me saying something that he did in baseball that was wrong. Doesn't matter. Chipper Jones seems like a cool dude. He's done a lot, right? He's pretty popular, good baseball player, not a race car driver. I know he wasn't in the room with us when we set in place the way the things were supposed to go." Logano said that both he and Cindric had the chance to talk it out in the Monday morning meeting at Team Penske before he went on the air.
I'm scrolling through because I have that exact image of the shot that was given to Wallace to win said stage. Here we go. Almost.
Close.
Yeah, it's got to be one of.
That was one of the pictures that you took.
It is.
Yeah, okay.
Here we go. Well, see, Joey, I'm going to say this. You're in the wrong.
Okay.
Because when you have, in the song that I got sick of hearing, Riding the Dente. When you have that chili pepper shoved up your bumper, God almighty.
Be careful how you say
Shoved
that.
onto your bumper.
There you go. That's a better way to put it.
How do you expect Austin to jump down and push you?
Different lanes.
Because this photo, that 2 is buried underneath that 23. And guess what? The 21 is buried under the 2.
So you should be complaining more about Josh Berry.
You need to be complaining more about Josh Berry than you need to be about Austin Cindric.
And okay, so I won't argue that part of it. But here's the thing. Chipper Jones is more than welcome to comment on things, but he's not in the heat of the moment.
No, he's not.
But the other side of it is where I will agree that you state Joey Logano is wrong. Austin Cindric is second in line, correct? Because
Correct.
Bubba Wallace is leading.
Wallace, the top 4 cars in the top line, Wallace, Cindric, Berry, Larson.
Okay.
The top 3 cars in the bottom line, because the 4th was out of the frame, was Logano, Hocevar, Reddick.
So really, Austin Cindric is going to try and see if he can't push Bubba Wallace out there, create an opening, and maybe he can jump down there and he can win the stage.
Called the good old-fashioned crossover.
It's the last lane. There ain't no such thing as, or last lap, I'm sorry. It's last laps. Last lap. Be it stage, be it race. That whole teammate thing's out the window, boys and girls. So as much as I agree that Chipper probably should have stayed out of it, Joey Logano might have overstepped a little bit. Hour 1 in the books. Plus. When we come back, we're going to continue on because All-Star Race is coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend. We have your top 10 vote getters as of the latest update. It'll be in alphabetical order. Plus, they have kind of called the format for it. We'll tell you about it next.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. 4 tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back. We appreciate you joining us here. Hour number 2 getting underway. Myself, Steve West, Matt Nicholson, producer John on CRN Live on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's joining us via radio or via CRN Live on YouTube. We appreciate you all. Next weekend, Cup Series going to go to North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. Top 10 vote getters were revealed over the last weekend while the series was in Texas. And, of course, they're not going to give us any idea of exactly who the top vote getter is. They're just going to give them to us in alphabetical order so that we know who they are. I don't think there are really any surprises here. Inside the top 10, drivers like A.J. Allmendinger. Well, this one's a bit of a surprise, I'll admit. Ty Dillon. Really?
Yes.
So Ty Dillon fan club out in force?
I guess so. That is a little bit of a surprise.
Ty Gibbs.
No surprise.
Shane Van Gisberg.
Minor surprise.
Minor, okay. Noah Gragson should not be a surprise. He's won the fan vote the last 2 years. Carson Hocevar.
No surprise.
Eric Jones.
No surprise.
Michael McDowell.
Minor surprise.
Ryan Preece.
Minor surprise.
Bubba Wallace.
No surprise.
Again, Noah Gragson's won the past 2 fan votes. We'll see. As for the All-Star race itself, once again, going to feature 2 heats, going to be setting the lineup for the main event. Then you got the 100-lap All-Star Open, which is going to give all of those who didn't otherwise qualify for the All-Star race itself to get a chance to get in. The All-Star race itself, 250-lap event. There's going to be a competition caution about lap number 30. In addition, there's a new wrinkle called a promoter's caution. This can be called, I'm not going to say will be, I'll clarify that. It can be called by SMI CEO Marcus Smith, and only Marcus Smith, with the provision that it can be called no later than lap number 220. NASCAR stated that if it has not been called by lap 200 and a caution for cause happens, the promoter's caution is no longer a viable option and will not be called. Smith, again, is the sole decision maker on that possible caution, and he actually could opt not to use it.
Don't use it, Marcus. Don't.
It's fake drama.
Manufactured drama. Don't use it.
Yeah, I agree. Then there's the rumor, of course, that Championship Weekend is going to start rotating tracks beginning next year. NASCAR actually confirmed it. Their statement is to, quote, ensure that the season's exciting conclusion is shared amongst NASCAR's marquee venues and key markets. Similar to other major sports championships, NASCAR will showcase its Championship Weekend on the new rotating model to provide greater exposure for its season's finale in multiple markets. NASCAR did make it clear that Phoenix will continue to host 2 Cup Series weekends as it moves forward. So exactly where it lands on the schedule in the second race of the year is uncertain. 2026 schedule, we now know, will have Homestead Miami as the championship host race, but the official schedule probably won't come out until late July at the earliest, more likely August. Could even be September. So where Phoenix is going to be on next year's slate is not known. Officials have said, and this is Phoenix officials, by the way, that they would like it to be in the round of 8. So this year is what? Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville?
So we're gonna have a second West Coast swing.
And
if you don't move Vegas.
And let's presume for a moment that we keep Talladega in the round of 8. Do you lead off the round of 8 with Talladega, then go to Vegas and Phoenix, or Phoenix and Vegas before going to Homestead Miami? Because I'm not going to split them. I'm not going to put Talladega in the middle and say, okay, go to Vegas, then come here to run Talladega, then go back out west to Phoenix. I'm not doing that. I'm not. I don't know about NASCAR.
But somebody with a working brain cell would do that. They've done worse. Okay.
But I will say this. Since Ben Kennedy has taken over the scheduling for the most part, that kind of stuff has started to be eliminated. I'll give him that credit.
I'm going to use this term. It's gradually improving.
Yes.
Gradually improving. Because he's got his own little super late model team, and they travel to Southeast regional and on occasion a few Midwestern races.
Yeah. So he understands the whole idea behind geographical
He
clustering.
He gets it. And speaking of Ben Kennedy, from an upper office level standpoint, listen to that carefully. He is the first person I witnessed him at Talladega Superspeedway mingling and talking with fans that were on pit road.
That says something.
And he was just in just a regular polo shirt, jeans, sneakers, and a cap.
That says something.
It said a lot. I'm like,
Because, I never really saw Mike Helton do it. We've seen Mike Helton up in the NASCAR control tower.
I've seen him maybe do it a time or two.
Yeah, but not on a regular basis.
No. But
Can't say as I ever saw Jim France do it, or Lisa France Kennedy. Not that she's in a real position to do it, but still.
I've never seen Lisa at Talladega.
I'm kind of going just by the France the founding family of
I've never seen Lisa
NASCAR.
do it. Jim, he's in the garage area. Is he mingling with people that are in the garage area outside of the teams? I can't say that I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
But I witnessed Ben Kennedy doing that, and I'm going, dang.
Ben Kennedy might be the first person to make it that obvious since Bill France Jr.
Yeah. But from the first two that are outside of the family scope of it, Phelps, no.
O'Donnell, no.
I haven't personally witnessed them two doing it. Not saying that they haven't, but I haven't personally witnessed them do it. But personally witnessing Ben Kennedy doing that,
That's big.
that said a lot. And that tells me the succession path that is shaping up.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
And I've said it before. He makes the most sense
Sure.
because he has had his keister in one of the seats of one of these top 3 level series vehicles.
Yeah.
He knows. He gets it. He's a race winner. So why would you not have somebody that's a race winner that has competed at a national level lead the series sanctioning body?
Does make
Question
sense.
mark. Question mark.
Well, Ben Kennedy was interviewed this week, and with the 2026 title race heading back to South Florida, and we now know the title race is set to go to different venues. Think NASCAR Super Bowl, Major League Baseball's All-Star Game, for example. And Ben Kennedy said this, quote, "If you watched a lot of other sports properties that are moving the location around year after year, part of that is to build up pent-up demand. But part of that is variability on a lot of the markets, and then a little bit of it is what we talked about as well. It's just having a little bit of differentiation as it relates to the competition and racing product. Having the playoffs be more unpredictable every year. The championship venue to be at a different location, I think, gives you the ability to see different teams and drivers kind of rise to the occasion to be able to be crowned champion." He's got a point, because if you can lock into a track, think Team Penske at Phoenix, because who's won the championship the last 3 years?
Penske.
Then you got a little bit more variety. You can't lock into one specific track. But specific tracks other than Homestead and Phoenix have not been mentioned when it comes to which ones are going to be in the rotation. Kennedy talked about the parameters, though. He said this, quote, "I would say it's 4 or 5 things. It's marketing and promotions for sure. It's location. We want to be in a warm weather market, being in November. Kind of limits you to the amount of races that you can run. I would say the quality of the facility. In Phoenix, we put over $100 million into the redevelopment of that track. It was a big catalyst for bringing this championship to the West Coast. We're going to be putting a good amount of capital into Homestead as well ahead of the race. I'll get back to that in a minute. The racing product, I think, is another big part of this. And then, overall, it's just the entire industry's feedback on this." Kennedy continued, "So we collaborate with our broadcast partners, our teams. We hear from our drivers what they think, a lot of our corporate partners, and then ultimately, as you mentioned, the fans. The fans have a large voice in this, and we get their perspective on it every single year." Then he ruled out super speedways, meaning certainly Daytona and Talladega, potentially Atlanta because they do run under super speedway rules.
Benjamin.
You and I talked about this, though, during Crossed Flags. Go back and check that out. CRN Live on YouTube. As for road courses, he said this, quote, they are, quote, probably lower on the list as we think about championship venues like traditional oval tracks. But then he wrapped up that part of the conversation talking about both super speedways and road courses with the proviso of never say never.
What, repeat that.
In talking about the tracks that he might eliminate, super speedways and road courses, he wrapped up that part of the conversation by saying never say never.
What is the one statement that I have made on these platforms multiple times? If we can end the regular season at a super speedway, you crown a regular season champion at a super speedway. In my eyes and in my opinion, and if you disagree with me, tell me where I'm wrong. Ending the season overall is no different.
And I would say this: you're not
No
doing
different.
you're not doing this on again. We just found out we're rotating it year after year. One time out of what, I don't know how many different tracks. We'll say 5 or 6. How's that? We'll throw 5 or 6 tracks out there. One time out of 5 or 6 years, you're going to run it at Talladega. Nothing wrong with that.
Here's what. No, there's not nothing wrong with that.
So
places,
you got
places where you sank capital in to improve the facility.
Yeah.
Phoenix, check.
Yeah. Homestead, Miami, they're about to. We'll detail it in a moment.
Okay, that's interesting because they just tore stands down to cut things down, but now we're going to reinvest money back into it.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Talladega.
Wonder what just got built out there and finished in 2019. Does the word big bills mean anything?
So check there. Atlanta.
Reconfiguration and repave, check.
Okay. Texas.
Questionable.
Vegas.
I would say Vegas fits that bill.
Vegas has, let's face it, Las Vegas is Las Vegas. That's an attraction in and of itself. So you get to go to Las Vegas and you get to go watch a championship race at the same time.
Fits the bill, but just don't put it on the same weekend as F1.
Vegas for a few years hosted the postseason award ceremony. They know how to put on something spectacular.
That they do.
Where else are you going to go? We talked about this during Cross Flags. Kansas is a possibility, but it might be a little far north. Maybe.
Kansas's facility inside out has improved greatly.
Yeah. If we were to go to Charlotte, you and I both said don't take it to the Roval. Put it on the oval.
Correct.
We figured probably while Darlington geographically fits, we probably wouldn't do it just because of the fact that they tend to be near or at the beginning of the playoffs already, and we don't want to take the Southern 500 away from Labor Day.
You would have to, don't touch the Southern 500.
So we probably wouldn't go there. Rockingham?
Racetrack, yes. Facility, question mark.
Okay. Bristol.
You got to fix the car before you go to Bristol.
Would you say the same about Martinsville?
Yes.
Richmond.
Funny you should say Richmond because there was a specific Cup Series driver that slipped on Sirius XM this week that said that he saw the rotation and Richmond is on the rotation.
It's going to be fun to watch when they actually come out with this list of who they think are potentials and what tracks they might go to.
That's a little bit too far north.
Maybe. We'll see. It is early November. Again, we'll have to see. So we teased it. President of Homestead Miami got to talking about what those improvements might look like. We'll detail that when we come back, and we got some Formula One and IndyCar news that we got to get to here still.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome in here. Let's see how much we can get in the last 35 minutes of the show or so. And with the knowledge that they are set to host NASCAR Championship Weekend again in 2026, having run their 2025 race already, they can work on the upgrades to Homestead Miami. But what are they? Track president Guillermo Santa Cruz stated that the changes are going to be, quote, mostly cosmetic, unquote, said that the upgrades do not include a track repave. Smart man, because the fans like it and the drivers state that they really like the surface as it is right now at Homestead.
They don't need to touch the surface.
No.
The surface is good.
So what are the things that are on the drawing board? Well, the facility could use a fresh paint job, according to Santa Cruz. He also says they plan on upgrading the concessions facilities and the offerings for the fans in attendance. They also want to see if they can improve the process of getting the fans in and out of the facility and the grounds in and around it. Maybe adding a bit of shade to the grandstand, see if maybe they can make them a little more comfortable. They're bleacher seats right now, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
So could you do what we did at Talladega and put in seats, actual seats, stadium seats?
Could. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what they end up coming up with. We'll wait until we get an official announcement. Ben Kennedy was also asked about what might happen with the Clash, the season-opening cash grab that takes place before the Daytona 500. Kennedy answered this, quote, I think as far as next year goes, more than likely it's going to stay domestic here in the United States, so there's been consideration of taking the Clash outside of the United States.
Benjamin, it needs to stay right where it's at.
Yeah, that's interesting to note.
Right where it's at.
Kennedy continued, quote, I wouldn't ever rule out international in the future, though. We have thoughts about a lot of it being prior to the season, in the off-season, an exhibition race. Great opportunity for us to bring NASCAR racing to other parts of the world. It is interesting to note that he did not confirm that it would return to Bowman Gray Stadium even next year.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Guys, you gave the LA Coliseum 3 years. Give Bowman Gray Stadium at least that much, would you? Come on, people.
I can't.
I know.
I can't.
All right. I know we keep going back to this, by the way, but I'm going to keep harping on it because the numbers continue to back up. The Cup Series is the monster when it comes to TV ratings here in the United States, but yet Fox continues to fumble. Reports from last weekend, just last weekend. Keep in mind, Cup, F1, and IndyCar all ran on Sunday, all of them here in the United States of America.
And all of them darn near not very far from me at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Here's the viewership numbers for all motorsports from last weekend, not just Sunday. All motorsports from last weekend. NASCAR Cup Series on Fox Sports 1 from Texas, 2.56 million viewers. Number one. In at number two, Formula One's Miami Grand Prix, 1.598 million viewers on ABC. So the Cup Series on cable beat the broadcast on Broadcast Network of Formula One. In at number three, not IndyCar, Xfinity Series at Texas on the CW, 1.002 million viewers. Beating out IndyCar at Barber, 914,000 viewers on Fox.
Which on a week to week, that is a huge surge for IndyCar.
It is. That's a nice big rebound over what they did at Thermal Club.
I thought Long Beach was lower at like 500,000.
Yeah. Thermal Club, Long Beach, they were both lower than that. So it was a nice rebound, yes. But they were fourth behind the Xfinity Series. And they had Fox, whereas Fox Sports 1, again, had the Cup Series. See where I'm going with that? Formula E on Monaco, running at Monaco on CBS, 765,000 viewers. That was Saturday morning. Supercross in Denver on NBC, 423,000 viewers. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Fox Sports 1 from Texas, 401,000.
Can anybody explain to me why motocross and supercross racing outdid a NASCAR National Series race.
And I'm only throwing this out there just as a question mark. Could it be the fact that it was on Friday night?
I've never seen that make a difference.
Okay.
What is the number one thing that people have bravoed about so much lately about the quality of these truck series broadcasts?
Could be that. You could be right. You could indeed be right.
The last night's ARCA Menard Series broadcast with Brent Stover doing the play-by-play because Eric Brennan wasn't available. He was doing Cars Tours duties. Officially surpassed the Truck Series broadcast. Brent Stover is good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Is he perfect? No. But is
Hey,
he
who
better
is?
than what is in there?
Who is perfect?
Yeah.
Name me one perfect person on this planet.
None.
NASCAR not headed to Wisconsin this year, despite the fact that the Truck Series went to the famed Milwaukee Mile last year. A scheduling conflict with Indycar scuttled that thought for this year. Didn't stop Road America track president Mike Kircher from talking to NASCAR officials while he was at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. Now, I understand that was back in February, but news of this kind of took a while to come out. Past that, he noted not a whole lot of contact has taken place, but he noted if NASCAR is thinking about coming back to his state, he said he would and believes that fans in the state would welcome them back with open arms. He said, quote, "We'd love to see NASCAR come back. Looks good here. It's a nice product. Our success certainly isn't defined by having it here, but we'd love to see it come back." NASCAR at Road America seems like a no-brainer. NASCAR at Milwaukee Mile seems like a no-brainer.
Put me on a 737. Just said 37. Put me on one to Milwaukee when Road America gets back on the schedule. I will go check that box off.
I'd love to go. I think it'd be a fantastic race to go.
I will go check that box off.
A couple more races here before Fox turns things over to Amazon Prime. We already know the lineup for Amazon Prime, but TNT Sports has finalized their NASCAR Cup Series broadcast crew because once Amazon Prime comes in, it's only 5 races after that TNT comes in. As we have noted before, Adam Alexander is the lead announcer with analysis from Hall of Famer Dale Earnhardt Jr. and former crew chief Steve Letarte. That you know. Right. That was settled. Okay? What do we know after that? Pit Road Trio. This ought to be interesting. Danielle Trotta. Danielle Trotta is going to be the studio host for Amazon Prime. And I'm a fan of Danielle Trotta. I met Danielle Trotta, about as nice a woman as you could possibly want to meet.
I thought the studio was Shannon Spake.
Hang on. She was studio for Amazon Prime. I'm talking about Danielle Trotta.
Prime.
Yeah.
Okay, Prime. I had them mixed up.
I'll be honest with you when I say this. I don't know as Danielle has ever done pit road reporting.
Not that I can recall.
So this ought to be good. But she's got a couple of good people with her that are going to help her that are veterans of pit road reporting, and they are Marty Snyder and Alan Cavana. Alan Cavana's a very good guy, too. Had the chance to meet him. Had the chance to talk to him just before Talladega because he was coming down to do pit road for MRN at Talladega. Real good guy, knows his stuff. And Marty Snyder, let's face it, Marty Snyder's a veteran.
Snyder.
So if Danielle Trotta has any questions, those are people who can help her out with no problem whatsoever.
Alan has deserved to be back on television as a television broadcaster in these events ever since when Fox made all those crazy garbage cuts and he was one of them.
Yeah.
He's deserved a shot to be back on these broadcasts in some capacity.
I agree.
Really, really, really good pickup by TNT.
Yeah.
Really good.
You mentioned the studio show, pre- and post-race studio show will be handled by Shannon Spake, along with former drivers Jamie McMurray and Parker Kligerman. Of course, Parker Kligerman's broadcast veteran. Jamie McMurray's been doing it pretty much ever since he stepped out of the car, too. So that's not a problem.
I'm going to say something about these two specifically, even though because I see a pattern here of how they're intertwining broadcast teams in these mid-year sections, how they're intertwining them between Fox, TNT, and Prime.
Yeah.
If they are the two NASCAR broadcast analyst, pick up on my subliminal messaging there. Right now, they are the A team. They have been, and I say this in a positive sense, they have been stupidly good as analysts this year.
I agree.
Of these races.
Mm-hmm.
They've been very good. They're very underrated. They deserve a shot on a bigger network. Cup race.
Hint. Then there's something that TNT Bleacher Report are going to work up together called an alt cast. Hosting on that is going to be America's crew chief Larry McReynolds, who will be joined by former driver Jeff Burton, who will continue on past that on NBC. This is a telecast that's going to take place on True TV. You know, if you can find that on your cable or satellite provider, or you know how to get it via streaming, which, by the way, according to what I'm hearing, should be available through the Max streaming service, formerly HBO Max. So there you go. If you're looking for something a little bit different, or if you're going to be missing America's crew chief Larry McReynolds, there you go.
True TV is on the YouTube TV service as well.
There you go. All right. So there's the setup. There's something about Mamba Smith. He's going to be taking part in something as well.
Lord Jesus.
Whatever. All right, where are we going here? How about let's switch over to some F1 coverage here. And beginning on Monday of this past week, kind of like Red Bull, reports started coming out showing the patience of a team was beginning to wear thin, the patience of Alpine specifically, and was running out very quickly when it came to rookie Jack Doohan. Doohan was one of the 6 rookies of this year's F1 class, but he hasn't quite performed how Alpine would like to see him. So some inside F1, according to ESPN.com, were telling them the team was considering making an early season change from Doohan to Franco Colapinto. Many people felt the Doohan seat was, well, it was hot pretty much from jumpstart when it was noted that Colapinto was signed in January as the team's primary reserve driver. Now we're 6 races into the year. Doohan has indeed underwhelmed, but then again, so is Alpine. He has shown some speed in qualifying, but he crashed out in Japan and Australia to kind of begin the season, and it brought some in-house criticism of the young driver. It was made worse by contact of the first lap of last weekend's Miami Grand Prix with the other driver already switched out, Red Bull's Liam Lawson. So this all kind of had a bigger spotlight, too, because of comments made by a gentleman by the name of Horatio Marin. He's the CEO of the Artinian energy company YPF, happens to be a longtime sponsor of Franco Colapinto throughout his racing career as he was coming up through the ranks. He said during a recent interview he thought that, when apparently he thought that they were on a break. This is where broadcast professionals come in, ladies and gentlemen. Anytime we're anywhere, broadcast professionals say, there's probably a camera and or a microphone somewhere nearby. What am I going to say? And maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
But Marin, not being that kind of a guy, blurted out that he said Colapinto would be the racer at Imola. F1's off this weekend. But where are they going next weekend? Imola. Okay. We'll get back to that. Oliver Oakes is out. Alpine's former, now team principal, resigned abruptly on Tuesday, and it was effective immediately. Flavio Briatore is set to take over those duties while continuing in his previous role as the executive advisor. The statement from the organization stated that no further comments would be made at that time. Taking this in chronological order, okay? So Wednesday, after the sudden resignation of Oakes, Alpine officially made the driver change. Yep. Franco Colapinto is in. Jack Doohan is out. But it's for the next 5 races. Huh? Yeah.
Or is it 10?
After that, Alpine says that they might rotate between Colapinto and Jack Doohan. What's the old statement when it comes to college football and the NFL? If you've got 2 quarterbacks, you've got none. Just throwing it out there.
I saw something. I don't know if it was legitimately from a legit F1 news outlet, news source. Keyword, don't know if it was legit or not. That after Colapinto does his 5 races, Mick Schumacher is going to get 5.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I haven't seen that from any of the sources that I would call legitimate.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Of course, that's like saying, well, hey, Cadillac F1 team's already signed Carlos Sainz. No. We'll get back to Cadillac here in a minute. Let's take a break. We'll try and unravel this whole thing when it comes to Alpine a little bit more. So, driver change for the next 5 races. What does Flavio Briatore have to say about that? Speaking of Cadillac, they're in the news. We'll talk about them coming up here in just a few moments. A little bit of Formula E, and let's see what else we can get into before this show wraps up here as we continue on this edition of CRN. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. Just a little bit more to go.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
All right, let's see if we can unravel this here. Team statement on the driver change. BWT Alpine Formula One team announces that Franco Colapinto paired with Pierre Gasly for Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix ahead of the new evaluation before the British Grand Prix coming up in July. Jack Doohan remains an integral part of the team, will be the first choice reserve driver over this period of time. As far as Flavio Briatore said, he was talking about how they just felt like with the way that the car has been and the fact that the competition has improved, they needed to try different things to see what might work for the team a little bit better. Looking ahead to 2026, he said this will be an important one for the team. Having a complete and fair assessment of the drivers this season is the right thing to do in order to maximize our ambitions for next year. We continue to support Jack at the team. He's acted in a very professional manner in his role as a race driver so far this year. The next 5 races will give us an opportunity to try something different, and after this time period, we will assess our options. So maybe Mick Schumacher is thrown into this. I don't know, but we haven't heard it yet.
That sounds like something you'd hear Helmut Marko say.
Yeah.
To having a complete and fair assessment of the drivers. How can you completely and fairly assess them 4 freaking races in?
You can't.
You can't.
Yeah, I agree. You can't.
It's because I'm going to say this. You cannot give a complete fair assessment when you've got there is so much stuff right now that is out there between every motorsports platform.
Sure.
Of simulation versus real life. Guess what? Setting on a hydraulic moving system is not like having, and I'm going to use F1 terms here, it's not like having 950 to 1,000 horsepower under your right foot.
It's true.
Completely different world.
Yeah.
Stop using simulation so much and go, oh, good luck. And then you got to drive, it is not what I felt in the simulation. There's your problem.
Uh-huh.
There's your problem.
Agreed. Then yesterday, as we go to air live on the Saturday, May 10th, Alpine clarified the sudden resignation of team principal Oaks, noting it happened after Oaks' brother was arrested for transfer of stolen property. Oh, that's good. Both executives at Alpine and Oaks himself participated in a statement that confirmed that there was no personal problem between either Oaks or Alpine, be it professional or personal, either way, didn't matter. His brother, William Oaks, was listed as the high-tech Grand Prix director for the Formula One feeder ladder. But he was arrested by authorities in England near Silverstone, near the high-tech headquarters. Police statement read in part, quote, William Oaks, 31, charged with transferring criminal property on Friday, May 2nd, after he was stopped in the Silverstone Park area in Northamptonshire on Thursday, May 1st, 2025, in possession of a large amount of cash, and he was remanded into custody. Oliver Oaks, again, now former team principal at Alpine, took sole control of the shares in High Tech, which was previously majority owned by a guy who you've heard of on this show before, Dmitry Mazepin. But in February of 2022, he was forced to sell those shares after, of course, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Oliver Oaks took it over. He was the full owner of all the shares just before he was named as Alpine's team principal last July. Oaks said that he has said nothing about what he's going to do about his brother's situation. He simply called it personal. Well, I'm going to say this about William. You're probably fired. And if you're not, it's only because it is your brother.
That is true.
Things over at Audi continue to move full speed towards their taking over the Sauber F1 operation for 2026, but they're going to be moving on without Chief Executive Adam Baker. Adam Baker has left the organization, also effective immediately. Audi officials released a statement that thanked Baker for his time with the team and helping get things moving in the right direction, so on and so forth. And now they turn to Christian Foyer. Foyer, at least in part, who will, well, he's not only joined the Audi Formula Racing Management Board, but he has gained the title of Chief Operating Officer. So he will not be overseeing the engine program for the organization, but he will take over some of Baker's old roles, with Baker's role pretty much being officially eliminated and just all the duties being split amongst Foyer and several others. I'm not going to get into the details because, quite frankly, I would put myself to sleep on them. Another new for 2026 brand waited until Formula One was in their backyard. They announced their official name. Yes, we are talking about Cadillac. They announced their official team name and logo, which you will be able to see on CRN Live on YouTube. They didn't really stretch it, by the way, that far. They will be known as the Cadillac Formula One team. Took a lot of marketing wonks, a whole lot of time to come up with that one, didn't it?
Yeah, and wait till there's about 5 sponsors that come in. It'll be Gainbridge Group 1001 Delaware Life Cadillac Formula F1 team.
Exactly. The structure is there. It's under the watchful eye of Cadillac's parent company, General Motors, and TWG Motorsports, the former Andretti Global. But have you seen reports about their signing drivers? Again, those are rumors. They have not signed a driver yet. What isn't a rumor is when Cadillac is set to begin as an F1 engine supplier. The FIA has approved Cadillac's plan to begin supplying their own engines to their team and potentially customers, beginning in 2029. Until then, using the connections that Mario Andretti has and had with Scuderia Ferrari, Cadillac will be using Ferrari power, just like Haas F1 is. The engines the Caddy's going to use in 2029 will officially be known as GM Performance Power Units under the company name GM Performance Power Units LLC.
So you technically need to either call it Ferrolac or Catarari F1 team until then.
You can do that. I'm not gonna. Tripping over my own tongue.
We're gonna run Ferrari engines, knowing there's probably 2 or 3 Cadillac engines already developed.
Yeah, probably. But they said 2029.
I guarantee you, Chevrolet, the IndyCar side of Chevrolet, they've been teaming up, partnering with them to figure out, get the blueprint going and get it developed.
All you got to do is change the cubic inches effectively, because you got to drop from the, what are they running now, 2.4?
2.4.
So you just got to drop that down to 1.6.
Which ain't very hard to do.
That's not that hard to do.
No.
Whatever you might think of the Miami Grand Prix, there are 2 things that we know for sure. Here in the United States, we do watch it. It was the most viewed F1 race of the past 2 years. It even placed inside the top 5 of the most watched races of 2024. We gave you that rundown several weeks ago. Secondly, we know that it's going to be around a while. They signed a deal to keep the race going, and it was announced just before they ran the Miami Grand Prix last weekend. Current deal was set to expire after 2031, so it's not like they were in a big-time hurry to go ahead and extend this, but they went ahead and extended it anyway. We'll get into possible reasons why in a moment. How long did they extend it? To 2041. That might be the longest contract currently in F1 for hosting a race. So why would you sign the 10-year extension now? Well, they obviously talked about the local economic impact. They said it has brought in more than $1 billion to the Miami area over the past 3 years, so effectively it's paid for itself. In addition, with the interest in many other countries or localities trying to attract F1 to gain a race there, this just simply locks Miami in for the long term. I think that's the bigger part of it. They're sitting there looking at how many different places are saying we want an F1 race, and they said, you know what, we want to remain on the schedule.
And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. But when Hard Rock Stadium, let's just say I'm looking at Google Maps.
Okay.
When you can go off of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, literally right behind turn 7 and 8. You can just stop and turn to 8 and stop and get a subway. There's a subway that sits behind turn 8. We've got a you can go across the road to Dade County Federal Credit Union. You can stop and get some money there.
Sure.
What is outside of basically the track paying for itself? What has it brought to that area?
It's an interesting question.
Because north, south, east, and west is nothing but residential.
Yep. Gonna be there. Either way. Another North American race contract has also been extended over the last couple of weeks. This one, I think, was a little more urgent because officials with the Mexican Grand Prix have signed a deal that will keep the race running through at least 2028. Mexico returned to hosting Formula One back in 2015. It has proven popular with the drivers, one of the more attended races each and every year as well. More than 400,000 attended over the weekend just last year, and their their contract was slated to run out at the end of this year. So they're going to be on for at least a few more years. And then there's the drama of who's going to be heading the FIA. We've noted that current FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem's first term comes to an end at the end of this year. He is planning to run for that spot again, despite the fact that there's been controversy. The question is, who might else run for the post? Now, Sulayem isn't making friends as his term comes to a close, but one of those people that might oppose him, Carlos Sainz Sr. Name should sound familiar. Not the F1 driver, his father. Now, Carlos Sainz Sr. himself is a world championship racer. two-time World Rally Champion, to be specific. At this time, the senior signs is the only person to step up officially and express more than a passing interest. He's not officially a candidate, but in talking to Autosport.com, he said that, quote, now is the right time to think about candidacy. The elder Sainz is 63 after a long, successful racing career, actually still racing part-time now. Seeing his son make it at the top level of open-wheel racing, he said his reasoning for considering this run, quote, plenty of reasons. But I have been driving for more than 40 years, and this sport has given me everything. The possibility of being FIA president has been on my mind for some time now, not very deeply. But now I think it could be the right time in my career for me to take that step. I'm confident I can do a good job, put together an excellent team, give back to the sport part of what it has given me. I've accumulated a lot of experience in this sport of racing throughout the years, and I'm certain I can bring new and interesting things to it to strengthen, develop the sport and the automobile world. All of this, again, comes at a time when the incumbent, Sulayem, who took over in 2021, has been kind of riddled with controversy. The latest one just a few weeks ago, where he saw his deputy president, Robert Reed, abruptly resign from the post, cited a fundamental breakdown of governance standards, quote unquote, within the FIA. And just before that, the UK's head of motorsport, David Richards, got held out of a meeting of the World Motorsport Council. One would think he'd be an important cog in that particular wheel, when he refused to sign a second non-disclosure agreement, having F1 drivers that include Lewis Hamilton taking issue with Sulayem's crackdown on language. Oh, yeah, that's right. Max Verstappen's got a problem with that, too. And seeking a more formal position within the process of creating or amending the racing rules. In other words, he wants to be much more hands-on than any FIA president previously had been. We'll see. I don't know where this is going to go. We'll keep you updated.
Time will tell.
And then there's some sad news. Jochen Mass, who is an F1 veteran, passed away during our time playing in PA booths at Talladega and Barber. Mass was born on September 30th, 1946 in Dorfen, Bavaria, Germany, raised in that West German state, got into karting at a young age, which led him to working his way up the open-wheel racing ladder. He'd race in Formula Super V, Formula 3, European Formula 2, all of where, actually I should say European Formula 2 is where he claimed second in the final points in 1973. 1972, he raced in and was part of the 24 Hours of Spa winning endurance race team. He made his first F1 race in 1973 with the old Surtees operation. Got a few starts that year. Joined McLaren for a full-time ride in 1974, starting at the Canadian Grand Prix. He'd claim his one and only F1 win in 1975 with McLaren in a shortened race in the Spanish Grand Prix. He ran with McLaren through 1977, claimed a best career finish of 6th in the final points that year. He moved to the non-classified ATS team for 1977, so officially he accrued no points. Then he moved to Arrows 1978. He got injured in a serious crash in 1980 in the Austrian Grand Prix, sustained multiple injuries in a rollover crash during a practice session. That caused him to sit out in 1981, but he would return in 1982 with March, but that was a short-term situation. Early in the year, got involved in another crash where Gilles Villeneuve was killed. He retired, Mass did, on the spot. Claimed 1 win, 2 fastest laps, and 8 podiums in a relatively short F1 career. Is also a noted endurance racer, has mentioned the 24 Hours of Spa victory back in 72, entered into a dozen 24 Hours Le Mans win, the first in 72, his final one in 1995. He won the 1989 edition, a runner-up finish in 1982. While he was a part-time driver in 1993, he joined the German network RTL as a commentator. He stayed there from 93 through 1997. He appeared at Britain's Goodwood Festival of Speed many times in the 2000s and even appeared in the 2013 movie Rush, portraying himself. Married twice, Mass lived in Monaco during his racing career, would later move to the south of France after his career was done. He had 4 children, 2 sons with his first wife, 2 daughters with his second. Back in February, though, he suffered a stroke, and it was due to complications from that he passed away May 4th. Jochen Mass, 78 years old. And one more note here. Let's talk about what's going on with Indycar as we wrap the show up. Before racing got underway at Barber last weekend, Indycar officials noted a change to tire requirements for today's Sancio Grand Prix. Requirements at all road and street courses up to this weekend had said the teams had to use the black sidewall primary tires and the red sidewall alternate tires at least once per race, running at least 2 laps on each compound under green. For this weekend, teams are now going to be required to run 2 sets of each compound of tire. Can be sticker or scuffed. and it includes the tires that the team starts with. At this time, this is a one-race requirement. IndyCar officials stated that they will get the information from the teams, the drivers, the tire provider Firestone to see what the pros and cons are regarding the future of that plan. It's a one-race only deal.
We'll see.
And oh, by the way, to everyone's shock, I know, the Chevrolet Corvette has been chosen as this year's Indy 500 pace car. Specifically the ZR1, which actually boasts more horsepower than the IndyCar Racers is going to pace. Corvette ZR1 from the factory will bring 1,064 horses to bear through a 5.5-liter twin-turbo V8. This is, by the way, the 36th time for Chevrolet to be chosen. The 22nd time they will go with the Corvette model.
Somebody hand-delivered me that car to Talladega Superspeedway. Brian, I'll be calling you. I need to rent the track for a day.
Wouldn't you love to do that? What we didn't get to, we'll take a look at and maybe include next week on the show, which there will be a next week on the show. Indeed, there will, but you're going to be remote?
I will.
All right.
Little bit of a reunion trip for some high school buddies. They want to go to the All-Star race, so I will be in North Carolina.
All right, then. So we'll talk to him remotely. We'll talk to you this week on Crossed Flags. Have a great week and enjoy the race.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.